This is a happy little carbon atom, and any compound with carbon in it, or a molecule with carbon in it, is considered organic. The four main types of macromolecules and that are organic compounds we're talking about in this video are carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. This is a polymer. It is also known as a macromolecule. It is called a macromolecule because these are very, very large. Polymers are made of several monomers strung together. To put them together, a dehydration reaction occurs where water is taken out and they're put together to form a longer polymer. To break them back apart into their individual components, water is added back in and they separate. Next, we're going to be talking about carbohydrates. A carbohydrate can be broken down to release energy in living organisms. This loaf of bread you see here is an example of a carbohydrate. The monomers of carbohydrates are called monosaccharides. A saccharide is a sugar unit. Thus, as you can probably guess, a monosaccharide is also a sugar unit. Carbohydrates always have carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen in a 1 to 2 to 1 ratio. Disaccharides are just two monosaccharides joined together through a dehydration reaction. Polysaccharides, like disaccharides, are composed of monosaccharides. A polysaccharide can contain hundreds to thousands of monosaccharides. They function as structural units and as energy storage. Some examples would be starch, cellulose, and chitin. While all three are composed of glucose, starch is used by plants for energy, while cellulose is used by plants for their cell walls. Chitin is used by insects to build their exoskeletons and by fungi to make their cell walls.
What is a lipid? A lipid is hydrophobic. It doesn't like water. A triglyceride has 3 fatty acids and a glycerol head. Why are fats hydrophobic? Because they are nonpolar. They like to share equally. An unsaturated fat has 1 single bond, while a saturated fat has 1 or more double bonds. A phospholipid has 2 fatty acids, a glycerol head, and a phosphate group. Phospholipids make up
your cell membrane
and keep the good stuff in and keep the bad stuff out. What's unique about phospholipids? Well, you see, the heads are hydrophilic, meaning they love the water, so they're facing outwards, while the tails are hydrophobic, facing inwards, because they do not want to be exposed to the water. What are the subunits of proteins and how are they linked together? A subunit of a protein is an amino acid. They are linked together when there's dehydration, where the water goes away and they're linked together. The general structure of an amino acid is a functioning group, nitrogenous base, which is one of the nucleotides, an R group, and a carbon and a hydrogen.
Okay, so if f of x equals 20x, then what's the first derivative of x equal to?
The answer is 20! Similarly, there are 20 amino acids in total. There are 2 types of nucleic acids. The first one is RNA, ribonucleic acids. The second one is deoxyribonucleic acids, also known as DNA.
What are the subunits of nucleic acids? The answer is nucleotide. At the center of a nucleotide is a 5-carbon sugar. The sugar in DNA is deoxyribose, whereas RNA has a slightly different sugar called ribose. Linked to one side of the sugar in both types of nucleotides is a negatively charged phosphate group. Linked to the sugar's other side is a nitrogenous base, a molecular structure containing nitrogen and carbon.
The nucleotides of DNA are adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. Adenine pairs with thymine, while cytosine pairs with guanine. Looking at RNA, you still have 3 of the same nucleotides, but instead of thymine, you have uracil, which the U stands for. Uracil pairs with adenine, just like thymine normally would in DNA.
RNA usually consists of a single nucleotide strand, while DNA, which is a double helix, consists of 2 strands that wrap around each other. Complementary base pairing is the key to how a cell makes 2 identical copies of each of its DNA molecules every time it divides. Thank you for watching.